Well, good morning, Miss Rooster. You enjoying your morning outing? All right, well, I'm going to make a movie and talk to these people, okay? You just stay right there. Well, I hope it's light enough for this video. Well, I guess this story is like a lot of other videos you see on YouTube about somebody finds a house or land and they decide they're going to move and bring their travel trailer, and live in that while they work on the house or while they build the house. Well, my story's a lot like that. Only I did mine in 2012, I believe it was. We got some terrible light going on here. Is my lens foggy? I guess YouTube is full of videos and channels of people who buy a house that needs renovated, or they buy raw land and they buy a travel trailer. Maybe they're leaving the city. They buy a travel trailer, they park it, they live in that till they build a house or fix the house or whatever it is they got to do. The difference is I did the same thing, but I did it in a 1980 Jayco trailer. This thing was vintage when I bought it. I lived in it for 4 years. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you. I got some pictures. You'll see what the house looked like and why I had to live in it. Because I totally renovated my house. And that took a while. I didn't even work on it the first year. Just clearing land, things like that had to be done. The house sat abandoned. It was in terrible shape. And we are in what is now the dog yard. This fence wasn't here. Let me show you around. I built this it was one of the very first things I did was build a fence all the way around. I believe it's 75 feet by 100 feet. No, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 40 feet by 75 feet. And here comes Lily out her dog door. She is an OG. She's been here since the beginning. Yeah, you have, ain't you, Lily? You're head dog now. So anyway, the very first thing I did, ignore that unpainted stuff I haven't finished yet. Let's go over here. I installed this power pole because there used to be the service pole, head right there through the roof, and all that had to be replaced. So I put a pole up with temporary box. Well, it was supposed to be temporary. It's still there. It's a regular, service panel. And you can still see the hook. I ran a wire all the way over here. And this is where I had the travel trailer. As you can see, it's sloped. I don't know if the camera will show it. Sloped pretty good. So, yeah, a lot of leveling had to be done. But for many years, this is where the travel trailer sat. Now, the reason it's here, I decided to put it here. It's not the flattest spot, but the septic tank is right there. So, in order to drain the tanks that would have been on the travel trailer, it was a nice easy stretch to the septic tanks. I just pulled the lid off the tank, down in the tank it went. So let's go out here now. So I first moved to Arkansas in September of 2012. Well, good morning, girls. Morning, Millie. Morning, Tilly. And I stayed with a friend. Okay, I didn't even have a plan when I moved here. I had no intentions of staying, but I ended up staying. Well, he had a travel trailer he sold me. I paid him like $40 a week until it was paid. I think I paid $900 for this 1980 26-foot Jayco. I believe it was 26 foot. It was pretty good size. And I got it paid off. And after about a year of living in that on his property, which is about 60 miles from here, I found this house in this property, and I got a heck of a deal on it, but it wasn't livable. So I needed to get that travel trailer out here, and that's what I did, man. Brought it out, He pulled it right here, and then I started pounding the fence post so I could get my dogs out here. And I had 5 dogs at the time. Later, I got her a few months later. She's the last one. And they're all over here. She's the last surviving OG. Waldo, he passed away last October. Sure missed that boy. I got to come out here and do some better work on this dog cemetery. But there's Waldo, Libby, that's Wally, Lucy, and over there is Lulu, that's my brother's dog. As you can see, the graves we need to do an upgrade on their cemetery, honor them better. So I built the dog yard. Of course, you know, the dogs, they had to come in with me every night and stay in the camper with me. I liked that. I didn't mind it. They were good. So for 4 years, a total of 4 years, I stayed in that camper. Now, 1980, they knew how to build them. They were built pretty solid. They're not like the cheesy ones they build today. But it was, you know, 32 years old, 33 years old at the time. Now it's, what, in the 40-something years old, 45 years old. It's still around. So surviving in this thing in Arkansas, we get some of the worst storms ever here. They can be horrific. Being in one of those during one of these storms is not fun. And it's leaky. It's got leaky roof, and in some spots, not too bad for the age of the trailer. But man, I remember nights sitting in there where the lightning was constant and the whole trailer is rocking. And this is a big, heavy trailer. And it's just rocking back and forth. And it's spooky when you get 60, 70 mile an hour winds and that thing's swaying. And there's nowhere you can go. Nowhere. I mean, I guess I could have went in the house, but it was in rough shape. So that was no fun during that period. And when you get the winters, oh, the winters were brutal because those things are not insulated. Travel trailers are not intended to be year-round living quarters. They're built for camping. Maybe now they're building them a little more insulated, but this one was not. So I would section it off with a blanket, a heavy blanket, and then I'd have an electric fireplace heater in there. I had several different methods of heating it. But it was always still drafty and cold, and I couldn't, I had a bed up in the loft. It was a fifth wheel. So it had the, you know, the tongue, the over thing, what do you know, whatever it is, you know, there was air that come up under where your bed was. And that was pretty cold. And I had a bad back, so that didn't help matters any. So living in that in the winter was, it was a challenge. Now for water, one of the first things me and my brother did when I bought this place was we got the hot water tank, the water tank, the water heater. Okay, why does everybody say hot water heater? That's what I was trying to say. Water heater. We got that going, and we put a hose from the tank to the fifth wheel. So the only feed it had of water was hot water. So in the winter, the hose wouldn't freeze. And you had to keep it dripping. But I had the temperature set to where you just turn on the water and it was all hot water and you could take a hot shower. And the shower worked and the toilet worked for a while. And, you know, it was just a little, I wouldn't say rough living, but it was rougher than if you were in a house. So it was a constant feed of hot water from that tank. And let me tell you, that tank, the water heater tank that's still in this house today was built in 1992. It still works. I've had to change out the elements, change out a few things, but it still works. It hasn't rusted out. And that's running well water. So they don't build them like that anymore. So that was how I got water in there. Now, like I said, we ran electric. I had electric, and the dogs would come in there with me at night. I built a little, I don't know if you've seen the picture, if I showed it. I built a set of steps that had a doghouse underneath it, and they liked that. That was something they enjoyed going in. But I'm going to tell you, man, I could not wait to get that house at least partially finished so I could move in, because living in such a small space in a deteriorating trailer, because, well, it was old, was not an easy task. And you're constantly making repairs, trying to keep this going. The furnace in there never did work. I never could get that to work. It didn't have a refrigerator. I had to bring in a small refrigerator, so you couldn't have much food on hand. Later, I would buy a larger refrigerator and keep that in the house, so that it was nice having the house to put things in the store while I was renovating it, but I couldn't have too much in there because, well, I was renovating it. So I stayed in that thing 4 solid winters. I know that. And slowly I would move. I think I moved into the house. I tried it for a couple of weeks, but I had to do some things and take everything back out and move back into the trailer. I already had the trailer set up for living, so I stayed in that until the house was at a stage where I could comfortably go in there and live. And then somebody had needed the trailer. There was friends here had a house fire, and I gave it to them, and it's there. It's theirs now. But I think it's lived its last days, and they're gonna strip it down and maybe make a trailer out of it. But that's where it sat for a good 4 years. Well, no, it sat there from 2012. I'm gonna say to about 2 years ago, 3 years ago. So it was there a while. Yeah. A lot of dogs ran in this yard. So I guess that's the story of the camper. There were a few incidents that only happened in that camper. One, I will never forget this, man. Have you ever had one of them dreams where you feel like you're paralyzed and you can't move, and something is like you're abducted by aliens or something? I had one of those in that trailer. I'll never forget it. I laid there and I was like frozen, paralyzed. I couldn't move. That was when it was at the other property. And I don't know, I guess some of my best ideas I had in that trailer, laying in that bed, laying on that couch in there. That was just the starting point for me. And life has only gotten better. So I look at that experience as a good memory, although it was a struggle. Oh, let me tell you. And, a lot of the cooking I did in there, it did have a stove, a propane stove. I would use that, make pot of beans and chili. It had a microwave. I had a two burner cooktop I could use if I wanted. When you live in that kind of situation, you just make do with what you got. And it's kind of adventurous. I mean, I look back on that, I wouldn't change a thing. But it was, it's kind of made me appreciate what I got today. So that made life a whole lot better. And, it gave me time where I could just clear all these, this was all woods. I could clear all this out and have this view back here that you couldn't see before. And have my dogs. Well, there's Miss Tilly. She's she's always got to be where I'm at. She's the loyal beagle girl. Yeah. Okay, I gotta go in and edit this now, Tilly, so these people can watch it. And I've been out here doing the fall weed eating. You can't really tell, but let's go over here. Hope I'm not boring you guys. I didn't really have much going as far as ideas today, but and I've got my chickens. So I guess that's it, man. So if you're ever thinking, man, I just want to buy a piece of land and put a travel trailer, you know, try to get a decent one. But if all you can afford is an older, cheap one, they will work. They will work. You can keep things working long enough to survive. But it is going to be a cold and scary situation when it comes to storms and cold weather. I remember one time I came home from work and it was so frozen. The door was frozen shut. Could not get that dude open. So I had to unhook the hose from the water heater and get some warm water and try to get the, oh, it was a nightmare. But it's things like that you got to deal with. So thanks for watching, guys. Happy trails.